Welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to take a closer look at my favorite semiconductor company, Nvidia, and your favorite semiconductor company, Intel. More importantly, this episode is going to be based on ML Comps, which is a benchmark that is used globally to kind of test out the AI power of a lot of these AI chips for different types of AI workloads. And Nvidia and Intel remain kind of the top two players in this space right now that have showcased some results of their overall products. So I want to take a closer look at the results and just share my overall thoughts. So let's get started with today's episode.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So when we think of AI chips, right, I do believe the first company and one of the only companies we think of is Nvidia, ticker NVDA. Right now, the stock is sitting at roughly $902, and right now the stock was down about 2.5% for the day. I want to say when we think of AI chips in general, one company that we don't think about is Intel. And Intel finished the day up over 4%. I actually do not know why the stock was up a nice amount today, but maybe it could be dealt with the overall benchmark results. But Intel is, I want to say, the only real choice in forms of this benchmark compared to Nvidia's product. And one thing that always has me wondering is why AMD, right? We know AMD has the MI300X, which is supposed to be an amazing AI accelerator. Why that product doesn't come into these benchmarks. So let's kind of start off with NVIDIA in general. So NVIDIA today on March 27th did announce this pretty cool blog where they continue to showcase that, look, Copper continues to lead all the overall benchmark solutions. And I would say the benchmark sometime is, if you go look at the benchmarks, you go to mlcommons.org, and there are different types of benchmarks in general. There's, for example, for training for high performance, inferencing for data centers, inferencing for other types of solutions as well. The two main ones that got updated today were the inference for data centers and the inference for edge. And obviously, for data centers, you're taking a closer look at kind of the big H100s, the A100s, and all the other kind of chips that NVIDIA has. We're going to talk about it. In the edge, you're going to see more of kind of like your consumer products, right? In the AI accelerators, you have NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 490. You also have NVIDIA's Jetson AGX, which is kind of for like the robotics market. And you have kind of the lower down NVIDIA L4, L40, and L40S. So within this, you're able to showcase, hey, look, what type of accelerator I'm looking for, what kind of processor I'm looking for, what kind of models, right? And these are the tests. These are all some form of maybe large language models, some big, some small, some extremely large, like we're going to see Llama 2 and Stable Diffusion XL are very large language models. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you all for the amazing support we are getting in this channel. We're closing into 40,000 subs. That is insane. So if you haven't and you are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support this channel a little bit more, check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. So NVIDIA continues to lead. In the latest ML Perform benchmark, NVIDIA's Tensor RT LLM, which is a software that speeds up and simplifies the complex job of inference on large language models, boosted the performance of NVIDIA's Hopper architecture GPUs on things like GPT LLM nearly 3 times over their results nearly 6 months ago. So this is the first thing that really gets me excited about NVIDIA. It just continues to showcase that, hey, look, we're not just a hardware company, we're also a form of software company, and we continue to update our solutions. I mean, GPTJ in forms of inference versus 6 months ago, you can see that things have improved dramatically just based on software solutions. And that helps NVIDIA continue to maintain this huge lead compared to its competitors. We do see that in this benchmark, NVIDIA's H200 Tensor Core GPU also made the list. And it was, for those that are not familiar, the H200 has more memory than the H100, and that makes it better for kind of larger large language models. And one of the new benchmarks actually tested out some new versions of large language models. One of the large language models was Llama 2, which is kind of packing roughly 70 billion parameters, which is more than 10x larger than kind of the previous benchmarks that we're seeing. So this overall helps showcase that, hey, look, large language models continue to get larger, so we need to continue to update these overall benchmarks. So here we can kind of see the difference between the H100 and the H200. You kind of see that huge growth in HBM memory, and that overall helps the H200 do a lot better than the H100 when it comes to kind of these big large language models like Llama 2. And I took a closer look at the benchmark, and Nvidia destroys the competition in every single scenario here that we're testing here for inference. And the only time the H100 ever lost was to NVIDIA's super chip, the Grace Hopper. So it just continues to showcase that NVIDIA continues to be the king of AI workloads and the king of AI performance. Now, outside of that benchmark, NVIDIA also released another blog kind of talking about that Tensor RT, which is that software that helps accelerate NVIDIA's AI solutions. And normally, when we think of AI chips, we only think about it in the data center form. But NVIDIA's GPUs for the consumer market are also used for AI workloads. So NVIDIA just kind of showcases how the RTX PCs continues to grow in AI solutions. And here they even showcase competition of their RTX 4090 laptop GPU versus the Apple MacBook Pro M3 Max. For those that are not familiar, the 4090 laptop GPU is the best GPU chip from NVIDIA, but it's not the best chip, right? Their best chip is the RTX 4090 for the desktop market. But compared to that huge competitor there, the Apple MacBook Pro 3 M3 Max, NVIDIA's chips are able to generate roughly 6 images, where Apple's takes about one, can only do one image in that same amount of time. All right, so the next company we're going to take a closer look at is Intel. And it's pretty interesting, right? Because when we think of AI chips, I don't believe the second company we think of is Intel. But Intel has showcased that its Gaudi 2 chips and its CPU are actually some great alternatives in forms of maybe price to performance ratio compared to Nvidia's H100. So here we can see that the Intel Gaudi 2 AI accelerator remains the only benchmark alternative to Nvidia's H100 for generative AI performance and provides strong performance per dollar, right? That's the thing they mentioned, performance per dollar compared to Nvidia's H100 solution. Furthermore, Intel remains the only server CPU vendor to submit MLPerf results. Intel's fifth generation Xeon results improved by an average of 1.4x compared to its previous generation, the fourth generation, which they kind of showcase in ML Performance version 3.1. So, one thing that Intel is really trying to showcase is that, hey, look, CPUs can be very efficient for maybe some form of small inferencing, and they continue to showcase that their Intel Xeon CPU is the best CPU out there for those types of inferencing and AI workload tasks. Again, it's pretty interesting that AMD doesn't showcase any forms of CPU or GPUs on these benchmarks, and that's why Intel's really trying to push on this. That's saying, hey, look, the only one that's willing to kind of showcase the real numbers is us, and that's why we make a great alternative to NVIDIA's. One of the things they mention is that Gaudi 2 continues to offer compelling price performance, and it's important consideration when looking at total cost of ownership. Trying to sell some more AI chips, Intel does mention that, hey, look, if you want to test it out, our fifth generation Xeon processors and our Intel Gaudi 2 accelerators are available for evaluations in their developer cloud environment, which users can use to run both small and large language training models. What I'm very excited about for Intel is Vision 2024, where Intel will share more about its strategy to bring AI everywhere, along with an update on Intel Gaudi 3 AI accelerator. So Intel Vision 3 is happening on April 8th to April 9th. So is that next month, I believe, in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm super excited because we are going to hear a lot more about the AI solutions and the kind of products that that Intel is going to bring to the market. So if you are an Intel investor, definitely make sure to put this in your calendar. But just make sure to hit the subscribe button, as I will most likely be covering the top information from that presentation. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.